Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Frustrated Grad Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Hughes, the black dude with bad news who, unlike some people, does not blame the victims. And I'm welcoming my co host, writer, movie fan, wrestling fan, man who has many sides to his personality, Tony Hoffman.
Many sides.
Many
It's not
sides.
just one side.
Many
It's
sides.
many sides.
It'd be ridiculous if you just pointed to one side of your personality and said that was the driving force behind everything. No, that's completely crazy. It's you have many sides, and all of them
Yes.
are to blame
Yes, they
for
are.
who you are. All right, Jesus. So
So, how's your week?
um, it's been all right. I broke a couch yesterday, so that was cool.
You broke a couch. Did you break on sitting on it
Yeah.
and gaining some weight?
Actually, according to some coworkers who I don't know where the fuck they would know why they would know, but they were like, "Hey, it looks like you've lost some weight," and that's like, it's funny how often that phrase can be like offensive. Like, wait a minute, what did I look like before? and
Fat
why?
fuck.
And why do you notice? Strange employee whose name I don't even know. Anyway, that's what somebody said to me in our walking club, but. Uh,
How did you break your couch?
it was just a shitty leg on it. It just collapsed under me when I sat down yesterday. It's a futon, by the way, so not like the best quality of furniture, but I dragged it outside and left it on the sidewalk. I have to check. I think somebody might have taken it already, but you know, tis what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's up for dibs once it leaves your house.
Yeah, that was the one thing I miss about living in an apartment. There was just like this designated place by our laundry area that people would just leave stuff. They would leave books and all kinds of stuff. And I guess if you wanted to be a little bit more adventurous, you go by the dumpster and you could see it, like people would leave TVs and stuff like that, and just drag them back into onto the elevator, take it back into my apartment.
Yeah, it's like
Scavenging.
you don't see as much, but like once the whole digital conversion happened and like
Yeah,
HD TVs were in place, you would see like regular TVs and stuff on the projection TVs on
yeah,
the
on the side of the
sidewalk and
road.
shit.
Yeah, just like, hey, free TV. For a while, I was like,
Perfectly good looking TV.
yeah, like this is awesome. And then I realized, I was like, yeah, that's why they threw them out. This thing's fucking heavy. Uh, yeah, I think I returned them all from whence they came when I moved out of my apartment last. She's like, you know what? I'm not carrying this shit. I mean, I'm gonna recycle it back into the apartment. Uh,
I
but yeah,
still have like a smart TV, a Samsung smart TV that I bought like around December of 2012. I had it for like over 3 years, and then it like the screen got like dark. I guess
uh,
like with these LED TVs, like the fucking whatever bulb or whatever lights
the
behind the screen,
diodes.
like yeah,
Yeah,
they dilutes and shit. And like the amount of money to fix it cost about the same as buying a new TV. So I just bought a
yeah.
new TV, but I still have this broken one. Like I don't
Why?
have the heart to throw it away.
You just catfish somebody with it. Put it on the sidewalk, and then somebody will
But
excitedly take it away for you.
I can't do that because that's illegal.
You can't
Can't
just sit.
throw you can't throw
I mean,
these LED TVs in the garbage.
so you have to wait for some kind of e-waste event so that you
Yeah,
can give it to those guys.
you have to like take it to some specific recycling place or something. I don't know.
I waited for like I had a microwave that was sitting down here, actually right behind me in this basement for about a month or two because we finally got a new microwave, and my library near me had an e-waste event, so I took it to them, just chucked it in the dumpster that they had. So,
Nice.
so you check with your local library or some public entity. Every now and then they'll have e-waste collection events. 'Cause they don't want to ruin the environment, no matter whether global warming is a Chinese myth or not.
Or a nuclear war.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just that's just talk. But if it is true, we're gonna bring fire and fury like the world has never seen. Isn't that so reassuring? It makes me feel warm and cozy from the inside of my atoms all the way out.
I was gonna say,
I can almost
warm from all of the from the nuclear
radiation.
blast and
Yeah,
radiation.
yeah. It just makes me think of the latest episode of Game of Thrones. Just the piles of ash blowing away from Dragonfire is gonna be like that in our major cities after nuclear bombs drop.
Okay, so did Dragon in Game of Thrones, did it burn all the gold that they were sending to Cersei to pay
Y-
to the bank, or did it just burn off all their food and
You know what? I
all the?
initially thought that they destroyed the gold, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna be screwed with the Iron Bank." They said they were gonna pay them
Because
off.
that guy said that it was already on its way to
Yeah, they said it
King's
had just
Landing.
crossed the gates into
Yeah.
King's Landing, and I saw like I watched way too many reviews of each Game of Thrones episode. Like watched like 7 hours of reviews after each episode. But
Exactly.
one of them they actually showed like the map, and basically where they were was just like I don't know in terms of miles or whatever, but they're they weren't like across the sea from King's Landing or anything. They just sent whatever part of their wagon train up ahead of everything else, and they got to King's Landing first. But like prioritizing gold over people is why most of those guys are dead now. So. But the bank got paid, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, like I have to watch like those recaps and stuff because there's just so many like references to like past
Yeah,
episodes and like other shit. Like I've seen every episode, but I don't remember like every name and every
yeah,
fucking reference and
yeah. Because there was one.
artifact.
There was one because it was one YouTube channel that I just found. They watch and react to Game of Thrones episodes, and there was just one person. It was like this channel where there's these four girls watching it, and one of them just breaks out laughing when Davos says, like after Jon Snow says something about the soldiers and like we have this many less, and and Davos says fewer. And apparently that was a reference to Stannis back when he was alive. He was really particular about grammar, and there was a couple of times where he would correct somebody when they say they have 10,000 less soldiers than us, and he would say fewer. So that's a little sneaky Easter egg reference that most people wouldn't get, and I wouldn't get
And good for
unless
them
I
for
had
not
seen.
getting because that's pretty stupid. But
Yeah, it's like wow, that's this person is
that didn't
a real fan
didn't
of
change my
Stannis.
enjoyment of the show at all.
Yeah, because it was even posted on this one channel. It's like when you're the only Stannis fan in the room. Like, yeah, you're. Yeah, I guarantee you're the only Stannis fan.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm happy that there's somebody watching these episodes with a
that
fine tooth
closely.
comb,
Yeah,
thousands and thousands of times. So
yeah,
I don't know whether to be uh, proud or ashamed.
yeah. I mean, even the things that are like foreshadowing within the episode, you could easily miss. Like Jamie says something about the more you have, the more it weighs you down, and then he sinks into the bottom of this lake at the end of the episode because
He
he's
better
weighed down
be
by
at the
gold
bottom of
and
that
armor.
lake. I know that golden arm and all that armor and shit that he's wearing.
But it's the really stupid thing that I've seen a few people point out is like, how did the water get that deep right next to the shore? Like that doesn't make sense. Like they weren't like falling off the edge of a pier. He was just like running on the beach, and then gets tackled off, and he's instantly in like 30-foot deep water. It's like that's kind of strange. The geography in this world is kind of twisted. Yeah, Uh, yeah, it's quick deep, but creative license, I guess. I expect he's gonna be probably a prisoner now, and I guess it's probably gonna be the reverse of like when Tyrion was captive and Jamie was talking to him from one side of his cage or whatever. Now Jamie's gonna be a captive and Tyrion's gonna be talking to him. Hopefully it doesn't end the same way. Like you have no reason to let him out, but Tyrion's showing
I
that
just don't
he's
like the fact
has
because you notice how like some characters like they just keep alive
yeah, he has
beyond
that
like
plot armor.
reason. Yeah, exactly. Makes no sense. He should be dead.
Yeah, it's it's not really realistic because he spent that entire time during that dragon attack just dodging dragon fire. Like people right next to him were burning into dust. Just like wow, you got those sweet juke moves. You should play pro football.
He should be at least singed a little bit from that fire. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, totally. But uh, Braun saved him at the very last second with that last attack, and I'm not sure how Braun is doing. We'll see in the next episode, maybe.
And he's another one too. Got to keep him alive
Yeah,
beyond common, beyond reason.
yeah. It's funny. I didn't expect them to have the little dragon crossbow there with them, but I guess lucky they
Neither did
did.
I.
Cause I watched.
It it works temporarily.
Yeah. I mean, if he hit him dead on like we saw in the demo, then probably would have taken him out if it hit him directly in his head. But you trying to hit a moving dragon isn't as easy as you think. Trying to think. So they took out the one crossbow. I'm assuming if they're smart, they will have more of those because they probably need to just have like their whole castle just lined with those things because yeah, it's easy to take out just one of them. I was more worried. Like I saw people like doing reviews and reactions of it and stuff. Like, no, Braun, I don't want anybody to die in this scene. It's like, nah, I want I'm on Team Dragon right now.
Yeah, so
if
am
if
I.
he has to be
Kill
taken out,
everybody, please.
yeah. If Braun has to be taken out for the sake of for the dragon staying alive, then that's what I'm all about.
And fuck Jamie.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's redeemed himself over this time. Like, no, not
You
really.
remember that bullshit?
He lost his hand, sure. He went right back to doing his sister lover's bidding soon after that.
And he was trying to kill Daenerys.
Yeah. Another reason why people still think there's a mole in the group. I'm wondering if that's true. Uh,
What do you mean I'm all in the group? Which group?
in Daenerys's her inner circle because they seem to know that they were going to attack Casterly Rock and they basically had a decoy squad who was there just to die pretty much for to distract them from their ships getting
Do you think
burned
it's
up.
Varys?
That's the prime suspect.
Obvious.
But then you see Tyrion, like she asked him early in that episode, it's just like, who are you really loyal to? I feel like you're still trying to protect your family. And then we see him later on the hill, just being like, oh no, Jamie, you fucking idiot, don't attack her. Like, well, you gotta pick a side, brother. Um, but
Yeah, his strategies haven't exactly helped
now all
all
his
that much.
advice has been shit. Just one meeting with Jon Snow, like, you know what? All right, here's what you do. Although it seemed like everybody was pretty much on board with being like, hold off on the dragons, but she had other ideas. Um, but yeah, that was the most fulfilling final scene of any episode for me because like finally, dragon fire. Because we've seen a little bit at a time. Like, okay, she burned up the slavers' ships or whatever previously, and just lit a couple of people on fire. But this is like the full dragon action. We went full dragon with it finally. But, so yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch that leaked version of it. By the way, because I
Did
heard
you
it.
have access to it?
I could have if I wanted to, but like I heard it was
That was
like
good.
480p, and the quality didn't look nearly as good as
Yeah,
the
it's like
final episode.
why would you want to watch a shitty version of this
Yeah,
show when you can just wait a couple of days?
yeah, especially like for the best scene in the series
Yeah,
history. It's like
you want to
you
watch
want
that
to
in
see
like
that in full
high
HD.
def.
Yeah,
Yeah, 1080,
yeah,
720, I believe.
yeah. That's Yeah, I really, I'm really happy with that decision I made to.
And apparently, like these hackers, apparently they're just like bluffing a whole lot of shit. Like apparently, like they have like outlines, I guess, for the next episode, but some of the other
Okay.
threats that they were making apparently aren't that founded.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, it's just dumb. It's like, if there's ever been a movement of hackers that I've been less behind, I can't think of one. It's like, you know what? Screw you guys. Sometimes there are noble things that people are hacking. Like, you need to know this information. It's like,
It's
nah,
not about like,
this
oh, we want to take down.
there's no activism here. There's just like, hey, let's ruin this show for everyone. Thanks a lot. Um, yeah, especially like in the last season or two. Like, I've waited this long. You know what? I'm gonna ride
Yeah,
it out.
I can wait. There's
if
plenty of other TV to watch unless it's been canceled by Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's apparently there's 13 reasons why you should be mad at Netflix and Amazon. You see what I got there? That's a Netflix show. All right, so 13 TV shows that have been axed by Netflix and Amazon, and it's weird to think like you wouldn't think these shows would get canceled because like you don't think they look at the same metrics as like regular TV networks. Like, well, how do you know the ratings? Or I guess they know how many people click on it and watch it or whatever. But
So they know.
it seems to be. I would have thought previously that they would be a little more loose with that stuff, but we found out that is not true. So
So what are the 13 shows that they have axed over at the Netflix and Amazon?
well, one of them was a show I was curious about, but I never really pulled the trigger on, and now I don't know if this will change my decision or not, but Hemlock Grove is a show that was on it was
Netflix.
on Netflix, and sometimes these shows that have like sci-fi inspired things or sci-fi elements, they they hurt themselves when they try to be vague about what it is. And I felt like that's the thing that
That
kept
name is fucking stupid.
yeah, that's the thing that kept me away from Hemlock Grove because like it wasn't a
What the hell does
descriptive
that
name.
mean?
Yeah, it wasn't very descriptive, and I saw things that potentially leaned towards like okay maybe there's werewolves on this show, but then I would read the description and then it's like super vague. So I'm like, okay, is this some kind of like mental thing? Does somebody have a disorder where they think they're a werewolf?
I
Or are they gonna
still have no idea what the hell the show's about. I just know that Famke Janssen was on it.
all right, former Jean Grey, isn't that what she was most known for? All I could think of. But yeah, like, so they were like teasing that, and then there was some like imagery, like somebody would have like their face split with a wolf. And like, okay, I guess they're saying there's werewolves, but none of the stuff I read about it definitively spelled it out. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like,
It
if
was
go ahead,
it was one of Netflix's first
yeah, original shows,
shows, and
yeah.
it was named one of the 10 worst shows on television by Time Magazine back in 2013. So
All right, I
not a
guess I
ring,
made
not
a
exactly
wise
a ringing
decision.
endorsement. Exactly.
Yeah, I waited for Orange is the New Black. I waited till they got the kinks hammered out. Another early Netflix show was Lilyhammer. Although I think that's one of their shows where it was kind of a licensing deal, whereas like they didn't really make it, but in other
Yeah, was it
markets
like
it
some
was
Norwegian,
yeah,
Swedish or some shit?
featuring I forget his character's name from The Sopranos, but Steven Van Zant. You may know him from Bruce Springsteen's
The
E Street Band.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's basically playing his Sopranos
Sopranos
character
character.
in Norway because he's supposed to be like in witness protection, and then he gets into gangster antics as well. So
One of the least interesting characters from The Sopranos,
yeah,
given their own TV show.
I think he
It
has some
seemed like
like
a very
weird kinks
it seemed like
towards
a
the end
very
of the
one
series.
joke kind of show. Like he's this fish out of water guy who happens to be a mobster.
Yeah, fish out of Jersey, I guess. But I didn't know how long that show was on. Didn't it only have like 2 seasons anyway? But you know, it's
Two or three.
yeah. So I didn't.
What was it?
It doesn't
Silvio
shock me.
Dante.
I think that was the character. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he, he would have been better off going against type. Like he typecast himself by taking this role. Uh, but another show that was canceled was Marco Polo. This was the one they promoted as like their Game of Thrones type show, which like
Yeah, it was
was a
cost
wet
about as
fart.
much as Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it was a yeah, it seemed to be like yeah, a lot of production budget, locations, the sets looked very uh I don't know, true to life or historically accurate or whatever, but it's very boring first episode that I watched of it and I never went back. So
Yeah,
maybe
I just didn't hear anything interesting about it or any buzz from it. So
yeah, so I nah, it didn't hook me at all. So I was just like, yeah, maybe if I hear good things, and then those good things did not uh, arrive. So maybe other people had the same experience. Some other show. I don't know if this is Netflix or Amazon. Is Longmire? Looks like
that
some.
was on. It was on A&E originally, and then
Yeah, I
Netflix picked up the. I think
okay.
the last season.
Yeah, so does that count as canceled, or did they just end on their own terms?
I guess like the fans sort of wanted it to get resurrected, and Netflix took a chance on it, and it gave it closure.
So they just gave it a soft landing. I mean, I feel like all shows should get that at the very least. Like, okay, let's do like a 2 hour special to close out this series because it got canceled too soon, or something like that.
They
You don't
should
have to reboot everything.
just implement what your strategy to a show that gets canceled before the loose ends get tied. It's just a big explosion and everyone
Yeah,
dies.
you have the apocalyptic cancel sode. It's just the show you film first. Like before you even film the pilot, you film the show where everyone gets burned away to ash by nuclear winter, and then you start your series, and you know you already have that banked. So even the person you recast is back again, just so they could die. Like it reminds me of New Girl. So if they film their like apocalyptic episode, then it would feature Damian Wayans Jr. instead of the other guy who came in later, who was technically a different character, but they acted like he was the same character at the beginning.
Lamorne Morris
Yeah,
instant.
Lamorne Morris from Barbershop 3. Also,
Bloodline.
yeah,
You ever watch that very boring sounding show?
I no, it sounds like I don't know what tells me. I know it probably involves family and drama with family. That's all that title really told me. And I saw like clips of it like on those like moving ads at the top of Netflix or whatever. But
And I always ignore it.
yeah, nothing ever stood out to me. It was like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna watch this show.
It got
Uh,
some Emmy love, but
all right, good for them.
that's not enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta bring me some ratings, some money.
Yeah, they also put the Get Down on this list, but I don't know if that's actually true because like I watched Get Down Part 1 and Part 2, I guess season 1 and season 2, and they had a pretty definitive ending because it was about basically the origins of hip hop and with these different fictional characters who were inspired by real artists, but they got to the point where like okay they were the young kids just starting out, and then they kind of reached stardom at the end of the second season, and that seemed like it was the end. I don't know where they would have gone after that unless they just gonna we're gonna do like an American Horror Story type of thing and just focus on some other characters, but it pretty much seemed like it had closure. So I wouldn't really include them on this list, but who knows? I would be interested if they had something else in mind. I would have wanted to see it, but apparently they're done.
Has that show, the FX show that's premiering about the rise of cocaine in the 80s, has that premiered yet? Because that looks kind of interesting.
Uh, that sounds familiar, but I'm not.
Is it called Snow?
Snow.
Or am I thinking?
That sounds like Blow, so that's probably
Yeah,
accurate. But I don't think I've seen anything about. I've heard stuff about that,
I think that may be a fall.
but don't we have that in Narcos already? Isn't that a similar story? Or I'm not
This is
sure.
like this is like in Compton, I think, in California.
Okay, I can show how the government got into the neighborhood,
Sure.
how they injected the weeds into our veins. Anyway, another show's canceled. It's Girl Boss, which I thought was a decent show, but I didn't expect it to get past one season anyway. But you know, it's not coming back. I haven't finished the first season, but from what I watched, I was entertained by it. But
So that's all. That's all you have. So
yeah, it wasn't. It didn't seem like something that had legs for be like, you know what, season 6 of Girl Boss is the best yet. It's like no, it's a pretty straightforward story, like rags to maybe riches story. Like I don't think you need to follow them too long after that. Then you would get into like entourage syndrome. Like, hey, we're just being rich. Season 6, we're being rich again. What happens when rich people run into rich people problems? People lose interest. That's what happens. Um, since 8 was a show that was canceled, but I think that was revived, wasn't it?
they're
Or
coming.
they
They're
brought
gonna
him
have
back
like
with
a final
yeah, like a
movie or
movie.
something
Yeah.
with it.
So yeah, that's what I feel like should be the new standards. Like you give the series like a soft landing. Like don't just push them off a cliff. Like you know what? We got one last story we can. We have this thing that was planned for 5 seasons from now. Okay, let's just dust that off and do that story now and air that somewhere. Some
So
show
that show
called
was about like these people that were they were like connected,
yeah.
like
Like, I
from
guess there was
various
8 of them. They
points around the world.
yeah, so they could feel whatever was happening to the others. I think I watched the first episode and it was seems like it could have been interesting, but for some reason I just never got back to it. There's a lot of TV out there, so I felt like that was one of those ones I planned on finishing, but
Me
just
too.
didn't get around
I,
to it.
it was on the list, but I never
Yeah,
got around to it.
yeah. I mean, knowing that it has an ending now, it makes it so I might dedicate some time to it. You know what? Like, oh, okay, this will be an interesting ride, and I'll know the ending point when I get to the special 2 hour Christmas special, as they would say in the UK, because all their Christmas specials are basically just regular episodes of shows. Um,
Betas is an Amazon show. I don't watch any of the Amazon shows because I don't have Amazon Prime.
I have Amazon Prime, but like most of their shows are don't seem interesting to me. Like the only
Not a big
show,
Transparent fan.
not really. I mean, not at all. I haven't watched any of it. Um,
But
felt
it's
like I had to
critically
be diplomatic with
acclaimed.
that answer. But
Jeffrey
uh,
Tambor in drag.
yeah, I feel like that's a story they could have worked into Arrested Development, and I would have been way more interested because he was in prison all the time, and then it's just like, oh, this is who I am now. I feel like that would have been a better story on Arrested Development. Like George Bluth Sr. is a woman now, and now they have all the drama of trying to like he wants his surgery paid for, but the company doesn't have any money. It's because you burned up the banana stand. Anyway, it's for Arrested Development fans. Um, Betas, I don't know. From this
I
clip,
have no idea
it
what the
just
show
looks
is.
like maybe a IT crowd type show or like Big Bang Theory ish thing, but I don't have any idea. And
It looks
Like
like a bunch of young professionals who
nerds,
hang out at a bar and they go out, have dating issues and
I
young
guess.
adult life in the urban city.
Yeah. If you can't do it any better than what's the show with the original show that
Friends.
no, not Friends. Uh I always forget the name because it's kind of a generic name, but it was a good show. It was with the original show that Damon Wayans Jr. left New Girl for. Uh, why am I forgetting the name right now?
Happy ending.
Happy Endings. That's what it was. But if you can't do it better than Happy Endings, then I'm not interested. I really like the show. It was a stupid name, but you know. Mad Dogs was also canceled. That was a long time ago. They're just padding the list to add Amazon shows to this. It's like Alpha House. I think that was also canceled like last year. Hand of
Never
God.
seen a single episode of these shows.
No. That maybe there's something to that. Maybe nobody else did either.
That's just that's why they're on this list.
That's the thing with like all these Netflix shows. I felt like there was some kind of buzz around all of them at some point, but the Amazon shows, like people didn't even know they existed. So
Those
it,
Amazon shows, it's like they dumped them all out at the same time because they would have this thing called the
pilot season or
Amazon
whatever.
pilot season where they would have like an episode of each of these
Yeah,
shows and you have to vote on
that
like which show you wanted
I
to continue.
participated in that one season, and it was extremely irritating because it's like, oh, I want to watch the next episode. Oh shit, it's just the pilot. Fuck. When is it coming out? Because I did that with Mad Dogs. I watched the first episode. I'm like, oh, I'm really into this, and then it's just like,
You
okay.
enjoyed the nudity.
I remember. Oh yeah, he banged the black chick. Was that in the pilot?
Yes.
Uh, yeah, but like I don't know for sure about this, but I'm just gonna guess she's also in Black Panther. Sorry if that's racist of me, but it's like they literally got like every black actor they could find,
Every black actor is in Black Panther.
which is awesome. Like there's some of those movies where it's just like, hey, this is the only job we could get. I feel like this was an aspirational
Every
thing.
Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like this was like an aspirational thing. It's like a
Yeah,
family
they actually wanted to
reunion.
be in it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I want this role specifically. Um, what else? Hand of God was another show with uh, what's Hellboy's name? I always forget because you got to really,
Perlman, Ron
yeah, Ron
Perlman,
Perlman. Uh, Hellboy
Evil
in
Hellboy.
Mr. Hellboy in The Hand of God. I had no idea what this show was about. This was another one of those shows where it's like title tells you one thing, the preview trailer tells you something completely different, and you don't know where to land on it. So you just decide not to watch it at all. Uh, uh, what else? Good Girls Revolt, which is a show I think just premiered. uh, so
I think it's been on for like a year. It premiered
yeah,
like a year ago.
yeah, I know I saw that trailer fairly recently, and now I hear it's canceled. So I'll never know what the revolt was like. Maybe it was quite revolting, and that's why people didn't watch.
I think that
Uh,
it was a period of drama from like the '60s or like the '70s, and it
yeah, it
was
seemed
about
like
like
similar idea to
feminism,
like Mad Men, of like how Peggy Olson was just this beat down woman in this man's
secretary.
world. Yeah, which is funny. I didn't realize that. Uh, what was her name? Who plays Peggy Olson is also in The Handmaid's Tale. I always know
Elizabeth Olsen or Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. She's a Scientologist, apparently.
Yeah, she
So
is.
it makes me think less of her. I can't, I can't help it, but she's a very supportive Scientologist because apparently, I guess when Leah Remini won some award for her Scientology show, which I feel like I think that show's going to like its second or third season or whatever. It's like how much material do you have to talk about that this is a whole show? But anyway, she won some award for this, and Elizabeth Moss got up and walked out of the room. Man, I
Really?
guess at the I guess at the behest of the church, probably like you do not participate in this celebration of blasphemy. So she got up and left the room for her acceptance
That's
speech.
happened. that's happened a couple of times where like an actor that I respect, you find out that they're like a Scientologist and you just lose respect for them. It's like the who was the guy who was in Ant Man and he was in that he played Punch in that stupid Chips
Wait,
movie this
really?
past summer. Yeah, he was
Uh,
like a
Baby Joker.
Scientologist.
I mean, not Baby Joker. Um, yeah,
He's
I
from
know who you're.
Chicago too.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I always forget that guy's name. But wow, he's a Scientologist. How did he even get into that? I mean, I guess he's probably from
Mm.
L.A. They might have just scooped him up as soon as he got his first big role. Uh, that's weird. Like
And like all of those Masterson kids are all Scientologists. Danny Masterson and their
away
whole
from that
family.
'70s show.
Yeah, yeah. And fucking what's her face, Laura Prepon from that 70 show, she was a
Really,
Scientologist.
that's so weird. Is I guess that makes sense. It's like whenever the people you always find out are Scientologists are people like, hey, you know what? Now that I think of it, they don't have any social media presence. It's like, oh, maybe that's part of it. Because it's like, oh, the person who completely falls off the map after whatever their show is, like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. um, but yeah, so that's a little bit odd, and it's funny. Somebody pointed out. I think I was watching a video from the Young Turks. They pointed out the fact that Elizabeth Moss was in The Handmaid's Tale about this oppressive cult that takes over the country, and it is like you're living that life. So it's kind of weird that you don't see the irony in that. It's like, oh, maybe this thing that I'm also a part of is kind of weird too, and also the fact that they let her be in that show. But to each their own. Uh,
Kirstie Alley is a Scientologist. Fucking, uh,
it's so weird because
Erica,
she seems like she would see through that stuff, but seemed like a smart
Mason Lee, my
broad.
name is Earl, the Scientologist.
Wow, you're always surprising. It's like I should be used to this by now. It's just like, wow, really? Jason Lee, when did he get into that? Like, what was he a Scientologist at the time where he was in like Mallrats? Uh, I don't like because he was like a skateboarder guy. How do you wrangle somebody like that
I think
into
it's
a
like an
religion?
LA thing. Like you're like some LA kid
I
just
guess
fucking fall into that shit. The voice of Bart Simpson, Nancy Cartwright is a Scientologist.
that's a weird one because I feel like similar to Chef from South Park, wouldn't she have run into some kind of conflict of interest that they like? Wouldn't they have made fun of her religion at some point? But maybe they wrote around that. Uh, yeah, that's interesting. Scientologist outings on the Frustrated Grad podcast. Um, yeah, it's it's odd. My former boss at Columbia said she just accidentally walked into. I guess she was going to some conference in some one of these the major buildings where like people just rent out the floor for the day or whatever, and she
Okay.
went to the wrong floor and just walked into this meeting of Scientologists. She was like, oh. She backed out and continued on to
Getting
whatever she was.
their e-meter reading, or the hell, like Dianetics.
Yeah, because she said it was like before she knew what it was, and she just like saw this weird stuff, and I think
The
she
fuck?
saw like Dianetics and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I found out later that that was Scientology. It's like, oh, you escaped. You should write a tell all about the floor 13, my harrowing story of escaping Scientology. Uh, anyways,
Did you hear about these? I guess these the Justice League movie, like the first cut of it that was shown was like unwatchable, and that was before the reshoot
yeah,
took place.
yeah, because I think they said Joss Whedon he didn't like the ending, and apparently there was a lot more. And I mean, it's part of the whole controversy of like Superman and his mustache. It's like they apparently had to reshoot so much that they're gonna have to CGI out Henry Cavill's mustache that he has for another role. So, like, how much of this did they just
Cut the
completely
damn thing off.
scrap? Yeah, he can't cut it
uh,
off because I think it's
some
different.
other role.
Yeah, it's different
Mm.
studio who like refused to allow him to cut his mustache. They're just barely letting him be available to film reshoots in the first place, but they're like, nah, you gotta work around this mustache, son. But it's like, how much do they have to film over again? That like it's just they're completely doing the movie over again. I don't get how you can't get it right once because don't they do multiple takes? How about you try different things in multiple takes so you can put the movie together in the editing suite, but apparently
Well, when you have that shitty of a script and that shitty of a director in Zack Snyder, I mean, you could imagine how expensive you know the terrible
I guess
movie is
so.
before you bring in
Yeah, cuz just think of
Joss
how
Whedon.
much like Suicide Squad, all that like blue the blue light shooting into the sky and all those putties from Power Rangers. How much all of that shit cost, and they won fucking best effects for that, but best makeup effects.
Makeup.
Yeah, but like imagine how much all of that cost to be so shitty. Like, so I could imagine like, okay, this is what we got. We gotta shoot it until the studio finally gets in. Like, hey, you know what? This thing that we signed off on, it's pretty shitty. All right, let's change course. Uh, yeah, that's what they should start doing with these movies now. Is like since so many of these terrible movies get reshoots and end up still being terrible, they should just have like, okay, here's the cut that we thought was so shitty we didn't want to put it out. Just put that on the DVD and let people decide. It's like, you know what? I like the first one. Uh,
People are stupid.
yeah. Because there's like entire characters that end up getting cut out of these things. Like I'm trying to think, like Jimmy Olsen from Batman vs Superman is just like, hey, this guy was a major character in the lore. He just gets his head blown off in the first couple minutes of this movie. In another,
Rogue from X Men: Days of Future Past.
yeah, um, yeah. There's so many of these. It's just like I'm sure there's a cut of Spider-Man: Homecoming where Hannibal Buress is completely missing, but I'm glad we got the one we got because Coach Wilson was a gem. Yeah, so I don't have any hopes for even the
Nor do I.
reshot version of
Nor
this.
do I. I
Just
mean,
like
Joss Whedon. I mean, I have hope that it'll be better simply because he's a good director. I like his work, but I don't. You just look at what they said originally that it was going to be that big of a reshoot. Now we're hearing these reports that it's a much more
extensive.
task than what
Yeah.
we originally thought. He's pretty much like directing the most of the movie and shit.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know,
redirecting it from start to finish pretty much it seems.
but hopefully that's a good decision.
I guess. And like also like the idea I heard a lot of people say like didn't the Superman in the story that they're adapting this from like didn't doesn't he just have a beard when he comes back from the dead? So hopefully they just change their idea. Like instead of having a weird CGI effect over this guy's lip, just give him a full beard. That seems like an easier solution. Uh, Plus, it would be more true to whatever the story they're adapting. Plus, like
But
Superman with a beard.
Superman's dead.
Yeah, yeah, sure. They're having all this discussion over CGI and a mustache on a corpse. Uh, but yeah, like since he is coming back, then they should just give him the full beard because like we've seen Superman with a beard in Man of Steel, so like it's not very hard. But yeah, so the more and more news that comes out about Justice League, the less and less anticipation uh, I have for it.
Well, let's talk about something you do have anticipation for every week. It's the latest episode of Big Brother, your favorite reality program that you
Well,
watch
I'm such a fan
closely.
of Big Brother, you may have to clarify because you could either be talking about Big Brother 19, the US version that is premieres that airs on CBS every Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or you could be talking about Celebrity Big Brother, the show that's on Channel 5 in the UK that I watch through various nefarious means every day of the week.
I'm talking about the CBS stuff.
All right.
So
So
apparently there were some sexy hijinks that took place.
I don't know how sexy they were. But this one
They
girl, there
involved
was
sex organs.
yes, yeah. Some things involving sex organs aren't quite sexy, and a lot of people in the house didn't find them sexy because this one girl, Jessica Graff, I think is her last name. She was a housemate, and she was quite fond of poking people in their butthole
Okay.
using her fingers. I don't know if she did it over the shorts or under, but she was fond of doing this.
Is
She did
this like
it.
a behavioral trait, or is she just doing this because she's on TV and like you have to like do something to make yourself stick out, or
I'm assuming it was kind of just like a quirk that caught on. Like it's probably something she did at home with her friends, and then it caught on in the house. Then other people started doing it. So like there, some people are blaming her specifically for it, but like I see saw there were a couple of other like vagina punches and things like that throughout the series, but a lot of people were upset about her specifically, and it's weird. So I'm assuming it really was just like a thing she does because based on the dynamics of the game, she was on the outs and people were targeting her for eviction. So a lot of these people weren't her friends. So it seems like maybe it's just a compulsion that she has to poke butts. But one person in particular, she poked in the vagina. This housemate named Alex, and I guess she was particularly triggered by this because the reason she
as
used,
one would should be.
well, yeah, but for that reason, but the reason she used was the fact that her sister had previously been raped and murdered, so she was particularly sensitive about things like this. So
Why do you watch this show?
none of this stuff is on the CBS network show. This is for people who sit and watch the live feeds for 24 hours a day. I have I have subscribed to the live feeds in the past, but never had the patience to watch them for longer than like an hour at a time.
Is there
So
nudity on the live feed?
occasionally, most people are pretty smart about the cameras, so they'll like when they get into the shower, they'll wrap themselves with a towel until they get in, and then they'll take it off. But from certain angles, there's if you follow any Big Brother stuff on Reddit, then people will post screenshots whenever there's a stray nipple or whatever. So if you're into that type of thing, then you can see
And
a, a
this
grainy
show is
pixelated nipple.
fascinating. This show is fascinating to you in America, apparently.
Yeah, I'm I'm into the show. I'm into it more for the gameplay. I'm not watching them every waking hour of the day. When there's a real competition, when there's two definitive sides that hate each other and call each other cunts and question each other's military service in the midst of this reality game competition, then that's when it gets interesting to me. Also, you get the glimpses into the darker sides of people's personalities when they talk about their racist and transphobic opinions. And this one guy, Cody, talked about the fact that I say fact, but I'm only going by his word. He said he went to, this guy's a former military guy, very creepy. Uh, uh, he said he went to Ferguson, Missouri, just to see if he could survive during like the riots, just because he thought it was fun. So that was that's the type of guy that is. Although he's gained a lot of sympathy recently, which doesn't make any sense to me,
Why?
because he's being targeted in the house, and despite being a creepy, seemingly murderous douchebag, people are like, "He was in the military. How many years did you serve in the military?" That's what I got in my. That's what I got in my YouTube comments. So I'm a little bit,
Stupid.
yeah, people are a little bit extra with that. Like, hey, being in the military, sure, it's a noble thing, but it doesn't exclude you from being an asshole in your regular life. And it seems to be exactly the case with Cody Nixon, I believe is his name. But yeah. Also, in other Big Brother news, uh, there was this. YouTuber. We talked about her last week. I think it was off air. Trisha Paytas, or whatever you pronounce her name. She's she left the Celebrity Big Brother house. She wasn't evicted. She just quit. Uh, and there's like, I guess she has an even bigger following on YouTube than I knew of, because just from searching her a couple of times on YouTube, I found that there's like, I don't know who's controlling this channel, but there's somebody who has like all of these conspiracy theories about what made her quit Big Brother. And it's like, here's the real reason Trisha Paytas left Big Brother. Watching all these people talk about her behind her back. Trisha Paytas, public enemy number one. British people hate her. It's just like all these like weird, sycophantic videos that are being posted about her. So, if you're into that stuff, then check out
Which I am not.
check out hashtag CBB. Um, anyway, uh, but like, I know it's a weird thing to be into, but apparently there's a lot of us out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of like Scientologists. Like when I find somebody who watches Big
I
Brother,
guess this is
like,
not my religion, but I've
you
noticed
subscribe to the 24-hour
the
camera.
the
So what can I?
I don't do that anymore. I'm not paying that four $5.99 to CBS every month. Forget that. But my Big Brother content has started to take off after uh, I was recently interviewed on Big Brother Radio, hosted by.
Oh, there you go.
Uh, it was pretty
Doctor
good.
Detroit.
Hosted by Dr. Detroit. I got to speak to Frenchie from VH1's Rock of Love, aka well, also from Celebrity Big Brother herself. She talked about
How
her.
is Frenchie?
She's doing good. Apparently, she's going to be on Botched again, and I don't know if they fixed her the first time,
I would
but
assume not.
I
If
think
he's
she said
going
she's
there
going back
on
with a
there again.
friend. She has other friends who have been mangled on the table, but so she's got that stuff going on. She finally bought her pink Camaro. Apparently, that was a thing that she was really wanted for a long time.
Or long national nightmare.
Yeah. So I guess she has other projects going on. And she's talking about her advice for people she knows who have gone into the Big Brother house, and how different it is on the inside than just watching it. So that was
He's ugly
interesting.
as fuck, by the way.
Yeah, if you want to know the downside of going into a plastic surgeon's office holding a Barbie doll and says, "Give me this," then this is what could possibly happen to you. But yeah, so after she ended her call a little while after I got on, so then I got to just be the guest on the show, which was pretty cool. I got to talk about my YouTube channel. I got to promote it. I think Frenchie retweeted my link to my channel, and yeah, so I'm starting to get a decent amount of views, and I'm actually getting comments. I'm networking with other Big Brother YouTubers. There's one guy named Kwame Bryce. He's a American dude who only watches the UK version of Big Brother, which is interesting. So yeah. So
Wow, after how many videos you've made, you're finally getting some comments.
yeah,
That's
after
great.
300 videos on my channel, somebody's actually watching. Although I've the stuff that had gotten attention. I had this one commentary video of like men looking stupid in commercials, and like that video just like blew up, and like all these meninists kept commenting on it. But hey, I got the views. That's all I cared about. Um, but yeah, I haven't really done a lot of Big Brother content, so that stuff pretty much from the start that was getting a decent amount of attention, because there's a lot of Big Brother people who are looking for content. Like, I want to discuss our show. So I got something for them now. Anyways, in other
Oh, thank you for
things
that.
that sick people focus on, we have a couple of penis stories in the in our shared document. Um,
Why is it sick people I represent
well, not sick, or maybe there's just some
that? Mr.
obsession
Big
that's being
Brother
revealed.
watcher.
I'm not I'm not trolling for penis, and not even nipples because I'm over that. But there's a couple of penises on this document. Let's talk about one of
Yeah.
them.
So like there's this epidemic that's happening. I guess like in New York on like the subway, guys airdropping dick pics. It's like the latest horrifying trend in the subway
So airdropping is
culture.
basically like how you send stuff between Apple devices, right?
Yeah,
Ki-
I've never actually like done that before.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with the airdropping,
cause I've seen like
and
the
I have an Apple
option
device.
in like iTunes, and like because I'll see. I can't remember exactly how I saw it. It was either on my iPad or on the actual iTunes app, but you could see like other people's devices, and you could see the or whoever has like iTunes installed, or if there's somebody has an Apple device near you. I guess it's kind of like a network Bluetooth type of thing where you could send stuff between people, but I've never thought of sending a dick pic to just some random device.
That'd be fun to do that just to freak people out, and they don't know like
Okay.
who sent it and stuff, so it's even better.
Apparently that's a okay. So somebody got that brilliant idea, and now it's it's happening a lot. I mean, because you think about how many people in a given subway car have iPhones, then you can probably really troll a lot of people over the course of a day. Uh,
This trend was first reported in London in 2005. This current New York one, in the story in the New York Post, Britta Carlson, 28, was riding the Uptown 6 train to a concert on July 27th when a mysterious message popped up on her smartphone.
hmm.
iPhone 1 would like to share a note with you, read the note sent at 6:51 p.m. She hit accept and was horrified by what she saw.
Why do you hit accept?
It was a huge close-up picture of a disgusting penis, said Carlson of Bushwick,
Disgusting
Brooklyn.
things. Ugh.
The message was, well, it's in the eye of the beholder. The message was
I
titled
mean, it's probably a
"Straw"
picture of Usher's
and was
dick,
sent
so I
by
could.
an anonymous stranger. It really felt like someone had actually just flashed me. Carlson clutched the phone to her chest and frantically scanned the subway car for the pervert, but couldn't place him. In
Trying to
order,
match the skin color. They're
yeah,
probably not
no,
sending a
probably
picture
be
of their own dick. Uh,
exactly.
they're probably
In
sending a picture
order,
of Usher's disgusting herpes ridden
herpes
penis.
covered. In order for perps to send lewd photos, iPhone owners must have their AirDrop setting on everyone instead of contacts only or
Yeah, that's
receiving
dumb.
off. Yeah. The victim must also be within Bluetooth range, which is approximately 328 feet.
All right, well,
She
congratulations.
had
There's a
her
pervert inside the train.
Carlson had her AirDrop switched to everyone because she used to send photos at work. It never even crossed my mind that someone may use it to send stuff like that, she admitted.
Well, it is a photo. They're not at work, but there's creepers out there. Like, don't just hit accept. Like, oh, I don't know who this is. Just like people who would just answer any call on their phone. Like, unknown. Well, an unknown person is just another word for a friend I haven't met yet. No, don't accept random picture requests on your phone. Uh, Not smart. Uh, in other unwanted penis picture news, I believe. Uh,
Unwanted?
well, I guess it's I guess it's a relative term. So, what was this other one?
This
The accidentally sent photo.
this is from the Mirror over in the UK.
So apparently,
Fire
this is
chief
a UK epidemic.
Fire chief accidentally sends a photograph of his erect penis to entire crew, including his son instead of wife.
Jesus Christ. Reply all is
Grandfather
not your
Ian
friend.
Draper, 60, is said to have sent the X-rated image over WhatsApp to his team of part-time firefighters as they were waiting for him in a briefing room at their station.
Like, what's taking the chief so long? It's like, hey, there it is. That what was taking him so long.
His crew of part-time firefighters, including his son Jack, were waiting for him in a briefing room. They were shocked when the photo popped up on their phones in a group chat on the messaging app, a source claimed. The source told the son the lads couldn't believe their eyes but thought it was hilarious. Mr. Draper a watch manager and roofer in Woodhall Spa, Links, was said to have been wearing full emergency gear at the time the photo was taken.
Gross.
A caption attached to the photograph allegedly described himself as Mr. Smooth and boasted that his penis was XXL.
God.
He was trying to send the snap to his wife Sally Ann, a 50-year-old postmistress. Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue said it had launched an investigation, according to the Sun. Mirror Online has contacted Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue and the Fire Brigades Union for comment.
Mr. Smooth was not available for comment. Yeah, it seems to be a issue in the UK, I guess. Uh,
Well, I mean the thing with the airdropping thing, like it was first reported in London in
mm,
2015, but now it's happening
it's
here
worldwide.
in the New York. I think it's like it was like a subway
Okay.
train thing. Yeah.
I wonder if anyone from Big Brother UK has experienced this epidemic. It seems to be it's a movement. Mr. Smooth is taking over the world.
In June, bosses at Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue launched an investigation after a woman was pictured topless and apparently having sex in a fire engine. The image
All
was
right.
reportedly posted on a swingers website by a man who claimed to be a firefighter seeking sexual partners.
Like, who wants to ride my big engine? Uh, all
Slide
right.
down the pole.
Yeah. Spray you with my hose and other fireman puns.
Do you want to hear a story about a teenage boy who grew a single A cup breast on his chest?
Single A cup press. Sure. Was this a goal of his or was it some kind of side effect of
I don't think
medication?
that. Why would this be a goal of any?
I mean, teenage boys like boobs. They just want access to whatever boobs they can.
How does one even do that?
Like, you know what? I want a boob. However I can get it. Maybe he rubbed a genie lamp, and this is the dark side of one of those wishes. Like, I just want a 24-hour access to boobs, or I want to be able to touch a boob as many times as I want. And the genie's like, yeah, a
Somebody
boob.
else is not yours.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Like with the monkey's paw, if you're not specific enough, or with the genie, they'll give you the dark version of that. Like, I want. Wasn't there a movie about that just recently? Like Wish Upon, I think is the name. A
Yeah,
girl said, "I wish that bully would just rot," and then she literally rotted to death, I guess. But so, what's the deal with this guy's boob?
yeah. I don't think this involves a genie. Thanks for taking us there.
All right,
Um, a teenager in eastern China had to have one of his breasts partially removed after it grew into the size of an 8 cup bra.
all right.
The patient, 19, noticed his right breast started growing when he was 13 years old, according to local media. It's believed that his man boob was caused by the consumption of fast food.
That
Um,
sounds about right.
according to to a Chinese newspaper, the patient uh, uh, who lives uh, who lives in China noticed a significant growth in his right breast 6 years ago. He and his parents had visited numerous hospitals but failed to find a cure. They went to one hospital in
Has to
early
do one
July.
arm push ups. I think that's the solution with that.
They went to one hospital in early July and saw the physician there. They did an ultrasonogram, which showed a growth in his right breast mammary gland, and it was about the size of an A cup bra. His
All right,
left breast appeared normal and did not show any signs of swelling. He had a mastectomy performed, and he was discharged from the hospital
all right.
5 days later. They say that the breast growth is believed to have been caused by a hormonal imbalance, but it is not likely to grow back following surgery.
All right.
Yeah.
Next surgery they need to schedule is his half vagina removal because he seems to only have problems with like one side of his body. So that's a little bit
The
odd.
the doctor is likely to be caused by eating too much fast food and puffed food due to the gender bending chemicals in them. The doctor suggested men should avoid eating foods like fried chicken, soy milk, and royal jelly. So, are any of those things in your diet?
Yeah, you
Zach?
know, I have a big spoonful of royal jelly every morning. What the hell is royal jelly? Um, I mean, I eat fried chicken, not like more than anyone else, I don't think. Um,
More than any black man.
yeah, like I'd say once a week at the most. So I don't think that's too bad. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm all right, or at least my breast will grow in evenly on both sides. So I'm
Do you
pretty
want to be
good.
a an A cup or a C? You want to go up to like double D?
You know, I'm gonna consult with my doctor, and we'll decide that on our own. Uh, I want him to I want him to see me in a couple of different
Consult with
tops
your
and
doctor.
determine what's.
Consult with your wife.
I want to try on a couple of different tops and see what's appropriate. Uh,
Strapless
anyway,
bra.
yeah, yeah. I just don't want it to look too fake. Um, I mean, this would have been a thing that uh, I might have been okay with this at a certain age. Like, you know what?
Oh God.
I'm cool with this. Leave
Get
me
oh
alone.
you. I mean, you worked at KFC.
Yeah, I didn't. Uh,
You had access.
there's the old phrase of like, you don't want to ever see how the sausage is made. You don't want to see how the pot pies are made, and that kind of turned me off from KFC. So I didn't. I took a lot of chicken home, but I didn't eat it. Like I stopped at my friend Raphael's house and give his family a whole bucket of chicken. And I would take another one home and then try to finish it over the course of a week, but would usually end up throwing it away.
Your breast never grew.
No, the only breasts that were growing were the number of breasts in the buckets I was taking home every day. Because
Yeah,
not to out
the hormonal.
not to out all KFCs because I don't know if they all practice this, but if you're interested in what is inside a KFC pot pie, it is usually in the case of our location, which
The
doesn't exist
leftover
anymore.
chicken.
Yeah, it is hand torn pieces of the chicken from the previous night that was not sold. So if that is okay with you, then eat up.
That shit. That's not okay.
That makes me think of the scene right before the pot pie scene in a recent Game of Thrones episode. It was like it was about as appetizing as that transition was. Like I'm gonna cut off some grayscale. Now I'm gonna eat a pot pie. I'm like, yep, it's about how I think of it now.
Well, speaking of things that are not very appetizing, this is a story that I shared on Facebook. Uh, California burglar arrested after he leaves evidence in toilet. He was
Yeah, I felt like this was gonna be right up your alley. So that's a very dumb thing to do. Like DNA
take a
evidence is,
shit
yeah, DNA evidence
after
has
you
become a
rob.
major key element in crime investigation. So what's better DNA evidence than a stool sample?
But I want to
Like
know, like, what did they make him take a shit so they can match the shit, or like, where did they? How did
I
they
think
get
all you
his
need to do is like stick a cotton swab up his ass. I think that's probably all the material that you need. So,
material, the
uh,
raw material?
yeah, like, because
A
I'm sure they don't have like a poop database, like a fingerprint database. They probably just
fingerprint,
picked a couple of
dental
sus
record, shit record.
just picked a couple of suspects and said poop now. And
Just shit
I'm
right
sure if
now.
a cop yells that at you
Squat.
loud enough, then you probably will shit yourself. Uh, so I
A
ought to,
burglar in California may have flushed his life away. Andrew David Jensen was charged with suspicion of first degree residential burglary after police allegedly found his DNA in the toilet of a California home that led to his arrest.
yeah,
Detective Tim Lohman of the Ventura County Sheriff's Office said the accused did his business and didn't flush it faster during an October break in.
yeah,
This allowed police to collect evidence from the unflushed toilet to conduct a DNA profile, which led to Jensen. Lohman said it was the first burglary match case he knew of where evidence was collected from the toilet.
yeah. I would assume so. I mean, I'm probably
Uh,
you probably collect evidence from a toilet like in murder investigations, like with blood splatter and stuff. But yeah, for burglary, it's probably a first.
When people think of DNA evidence, they usually think of hair samples or saliva, Loman said.
Yeah.
Jensen's bail was set at $180,000, and his first court appearance is expected Wednesday, which was earlier this week.
All right.
All right.
They called him brown-handed, or I don't. This guy kind of looks like Batista to me. In seeing this like
Batista.
mugshot photo, he's got a Batista like hairline and kind of a jawline. But
How big was his dump?
I don't know how big was it. I'm sure Drax could give you a very accurate description of that dump. Uh, Completely deadpan as well. You would think I had been eating nothing but corn for an entire week. Anyway,
He didn't flush either, too. Like how stupid.
I guess that was kind of a fuck you to the people he was robbing, but he didn't take into
It might have been
consideration.
it might have been like his calling card, like the sticky bandits or the wet bandits.
I mean, you could literally call him both, like the wet and sticky bandit, depending on whatever he had eaten prior to his poop attack. He should have done like an upper decker where you just flush and then it goes down the drain because you would have lost all the evidence before you realized what was happening. But
Double decker, upper decker.
upper decker, yes, when you poop in the toilet tank. So every time they flush, poop water comes down. You're not familiar with this?
No, can't say that I am.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it in practice, but I would not want to.
I've never, I've never administrated myself.
No. I'm glad to hear that. I think we're about ready to wrap up this week. Is there anything else pressing you wanted to talk about?
Nothing pressing.
Speaking of pushing out dumps. Uh, yeah. So with that, I guess you can give out your socials to everybody. Starting with your social security number, then your social media contacts.
I think I only give out my social media stuff.
All right.
My Twitter is at Anthony Hoffman. My face, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Anthony Hoffman, and my Instagram handle is Tony Hoffman Shy. That's Tony Hoffman CH Shy. Tony Hoffman Shy.
All right. And somebody else who's pretty shy is this guy right here. Is Zach Hughes. I'm on Twitter at Zach Reviews. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Zach Hughes and facebook.com/Zach Hughes. Both ways are spelled ZACHUGHES. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Frustrated Grad. You can find us on YouTube and watch our YouTube version video on youtube.com/Frustrated Grads. You can also check us out on Facebook. Just search Frustrated Grad Podcast. We're up there. We out there. And if you want to hear the audio version of the podcast, go to iTunes, Google Play Podcasts. If there's a podcast catcher that you're subscribed to, that you have on your phone that we're not on, email us at frustratedgrad@gmail.com and we'll get on there. Also, if you like what we're doing, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. If you really like us, then go to frustratedgrad.com and donate by clicking the PayPal button. With that, I will say thanks for watching if you're watching the video version of the podcast. Thanks for listening if you are ending it right now and not going to bonus time. And that's all you get for today.